So I'm slouching back in the chair today. Sorry if I gave you like an evil stare at the start there. I sort of just noticed out of the corner of my eye. So, Mae Young Classic. We've got to recap all of this as we head into Tuesday's finale with apparently as many sports people as they can. So I don't know if they're going to try and get Sloane Stephens, if it's safe to do so, to fly her from like New York over to Vegas. But they're trying to get soccer players in, from what I can tell. Ice skaters. Obviously, we know Ronda's going to be there. But they're trying to get in many prolific, high-profile sports people. Or sports women, I should say, from all different sports, to be there to represent women's wrestling. Even though some of them probably don't give a shit about wrestling in the first place, so a bit awkward. Who knows? So, we start off with Kaylee Ray versus Princess Suga. And... oh, sorry, Suhei. That's how it's pronounced. I just say Suga Hit because I have got, perhaps not a fondness for Kaylee Ray, but she is a homegrown talent, and she comes out of the Nikki Storm school of vicious, hard-working woman, and yeah, Suhei won with an armbar, but it was a very good showing from both women, which is especially so. And with the nature of how you were going to have the draw, you could sort of see there was going to be some big-name casualties, or ones that could go far, getting knocked out early. And part of me feels Kaylee Ray's probably destined for the E anyway, considering all the ICW ties and everything. And it gives a chance to profile international talent. But, of course, this coming out in the same sort of week as another female masked wrestler sort of craps on the entirety of wrestling fandom. Bit awkward timing, but it was taped a few weeks before, so you can't really... well, no, probably a month before, actually. So you can't really control that, but... still a good showing from both women. Princessa is obviously, pretty much a veteran, has been in for years, so, Kaylee Ray losing, I don't have that much of a problem with. So, then we cover Serena Deeb's. There's a promo with her covering her issues, where she admits, actually on the video, that alcohol misuse led her down the wrong way, and she's taking on Vanessa Bourne, who beat Jamie Jamison, Jamie Hatchie, as she was known as, in a qualifier back on NXT a few weeks back that got aired. And this was pretty good. And, Serena was put over. Because obviously I think this is trying to be the Brian Kendrick sort of story from the, redemption storyline that you had from the Cruiserweight Classic last year. And, Vanessa wasn't actually too bad. Performed pretty well. I don't really have that much of an issue here. You can tell that she's still a bit learning the ropes sort of thing. At least in terms of, I can't remember her background, whether she's wrestling or not. She's one that certainly could grow to be an interesting, contender down the line, certainly. There's potential there, that's the important bit. So, now it's time for Zayda versus Shayna Baszler. And Ronda and Marina are in the crowd cheering her on. And right at the start, when they do the shake hands, which has happened through the previous two matches, Shayna doesn't. So we're already establishing she's the heel. Oh, hang on. There, better. I've relocated my position, so it's better. Yeah, Baszler just... Baszler sort of really just won. Admittedly, Zayda with her sort of MMA sort of background makes sense. You know, we had leg locks and arm breakers and cross arm breakers as well. Zayda getting guillotined. Also, Zayda locking on as guillotine on Baszler, but Baszler suplexing her out and then giving Zayda a rear naked choke as well. And it was just a submission there. So, again, it's interesting. The approach they're doing here with her is, geez, zoom out, up, there we go. Because I keep moving, it ain't going to keep tracking either, because I could get it to follow my face, but that would be a bit awkward. Sorry, I'm trying stuff out with this camera. Or thinking of. I won't. So, yeah. They're doing it the whole MMA approach. This needs to be done fast. Deal, I guess. And then Abby Lay versus Jazzy Gabert, a.k.a. Alpha Female, taking on Kimberly. Obviously, Abby's already in the Performance Center, so she's got the stuff. And from everything that I heard, Jazzy was, like, over as hell. And, admittedly, Abby was, because obviously it was the David and Goliath, because Jazzy is a big woman. And, yeah, David beat Goliath in the books that were adapted into probably a film eventually. Or if they already have, I don't even know. And she escaped from a backbreaker position into a sunset flip pin. And Abby wins. I'm pleased, because I'm a Kimberly fan. Abby Lay fan. Even though... yeah, I think this could do wonders for sort of getting her possibly into the hunt for the NXT Women's title. I mean, I'm not saying immediately, but I'm saying at least within the next 12 months, I'd like to see her being used a bit more. Because I know the matches that she and Ruby Riott had on the Indies when they were Kimberly and Heidi Lovelace. And let's just say, that needs to happen soon. So then we get to episode 2, part 2 of the first round. So we have Mercedes Martinez versus Chi Lee, who is basically got signed up because of the Shanghai tryouts that happened either earlier this year or last year or whatever. But the thing is, she's against Mercedes Martinez, who's been around for nigh on at least 15 years. Probably more than that. So, yeah. Relative squash match with Mercedes winning, which you'd expect, but there was enough offense in here from Lee to make me think she has potential. Which, when you look back to Ho Ho Loon with the Cruiserweight Classic 12 months ago, there were certain elements there that it was like, wow, they brought him in, which is perhaps why they released him now, but if they want to try and get it popular in China, and China's going to be clicking on it, hence India, we'll get to that, there's certainly a chance there for interesting things to come with her. So, we now have a video package for Rachel Evers / Ellering. Interesting to note, she wouldn't be taken to any of the shows that he was a part of, including the WrestleManias. Wow. So, Marty Bell versus Rachel Evers. This is the one that everybody's been talking about. As in, why did this happen? There are rumours to believe that the finish was switched on this match. It was supposed to be Marty Bell going over, allegedly. But they made the audible because Marty was that bad, apparently, that's why Rachel won. And yeah, the issue is for this where already they've had, obviously at the tapings these are all taped together, so they've had 5 matches of, pretty much action non-stop on the fly and everything. And then Bell just is trying to get in the corner and get in the ropes and just play the mind games and stuff, and it really felt slow and everything, and yeah, you could tell that whenever Marty was doing anything, the crowd were just and whenever Rachel would do anything, they were actually hyped, because some of the, I don't know whether this is what got taught into her when she was at GFW for that year or two, in which case she's got to unlearn that stuff, but Marty needs to be certainly, I'd say more, I wouldn't say fast-paced, but she needs her offense and everything to sort of feel natural rather than punch, pause, or whatever. You could sort of feel as if if you tweaked it a bit, there's the potential to actually have the same sort of offense and whatever. But and this is of course awkward because of Rachel Evers. The last time that I saw her before this was featuring on Wrestle Circus and Botchamania with that thing with Christy James. Which, by the way, which I'll talk about on the indie recap later in the week. The match that she had, the intergender one, I can't remember the guy's name, but she did okay. She did pretty good. So I think it just had been a misunderstanding that led from that. So that's why that didn't happen and everything. So, but yeah. Partially, I think they did it as well because they sort of realised if Marty was going to go through and go slow with Abby Lave facing her in the second round because of the brackets, it may not have been the right move. So Rachel should make sense. We'll get to it. So then wow. Sorry for the shake there. I hit the leg on the table. So then they announce the 2 new signings to the women's roster. With Casey Catranzo, who's a gymnast from American Ninja Warrior. She's in a TV show. Who watches Ninja Warrior? Does it have viewership? Tell you, when they had it over here, the Japanese one was awesome. The Western one was utter crap. And Shadia Basesso has a background in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So hold on. We've got her. We've got bloody Bianca Belair and Shayna Baszler. I'm just thinking we're having too many fighters here that actually have MMA backgrounds. Or supposed MMA backgrounds, whatever. Because I can't remember the qualifications with Belair. So who knows? So, the next match was originally going to be Rhea Ripley versus Nixon Newell. But Nixon obviously got injured. Can't remember how, but she had to pull out, and Miranda Salinas pulled in, obviously from Booker T's Reality of Wrestling company, and Rhea Ripley from Australia, and yeah, Rhea got the win because they basically, I guess, worked Miranda as the jobber because obviously Nixon wasn't there. Sort of relatively squash as well. Miranda getting very little offense in, and Rhea getting quite a lot. But both look good. That's the important thing. Rhea going through with a full Nelson slam. So she's going to progress on. So then we get Sarah Logan versus Mia Yim. And yeah, with the whole Mia Yim sort of storyline thing, well, not even storyline, you know, the inspiration, the real life sort of troubles that she's had and whatever, rather the right thing. And when you saw this, you were like, well, she's at least winning this one. And her and Sarah had a very good showing. Yim winning with the Eat Defeat, which obviously is a nod to Gail. But yeah, as a main event, it was very good. Logan looked good, and you know, I think if you're a GFW Impact fan, you know her. If you're an indie fan, you know her. She's been in the business for quite a while herself, so I'm pleased to see she's going there. Problem is, she's against Shayna Baszler in the second round. Then again, that means we should be getting a damn good match. So halfway through the first round, we now move into Aisha Raymond versus Toni Storm. So this is sort of a British special, even though, of course, Toni Storm is obviously Australian. You know, Tony's been... She basically, if you've heard a story, she basically came to the UK because that was where she was going to get the best opportunities to showcase her stuff. And then Japan came, which being from Australia, it's obviously not too hard for her to fly over. And then WWE called. And considering her reputation on the scene, I mean, I don't think they poach her from Stardom and all that stuff, considering other people. But, yeah, this was a good move, but the finish was a bit weird. So Aisha was like, I guess, playing up to the fans and whatever, and went for a big splash, but missed it. And Storm just rolled her up, but from missing. So, but Aisha looked good. Certainly, she spends the next few years learning more of a trade and everything. She might get called up, I would say. I wouldn't say she's an instant put her in now. Let her get some more experience. Let her get more UK bookings. She'll be a commodity in the next couple of years, no doubt, I'd have thought. Toni, on the other hand, well, she progresses through. We can talk about her later. So now we get Dakota Kai versus Kavita Devi. The one that got God knows how many YouTube views because it was embedded on all the news sites. Because, of course, one, she's Indian and is the first female Indian in WWE. And two, she was trained by Great Khali. And Dakota Kai is Evie, who is damn impressive. So, thank God she got the win with a double stomp from the top. But, yeah, this was like a veteran like Ric Flair facing, I don't know, I'm trying to think. People who've had, like Drew Carey. I mean, obviously she's got a bit of training. She isn't totally, crap, but you could see that Devi is like not not like, very experienced in the big sort of stages and everything. So, whereas Dakota Kai, has been touring the world for years. I don't even know if Devi's wrestled outside of India. Thinking about it, but Dakota's like, well, Shimmer, Shine, you name it, she may have been there. So Dakota wins, which is fair. No, it wasn't bad, but it was sort of just okay, if you want to say that. So then we get Sage Beckett versus Bianca Belair. And Bianca won, and actually in this match, considering all the criticism that I've heard from Owen about seeing her live and, seeing the matches themselves when they've aired on NXT, perhaps being against, obviously, being against Sage, a.k.a. Andrea, a.k.a. Rosie Lotta Love, except she's really slimmed down now. Probably the right sort of person to try and put Bianca over, because I think that's clearly sort of the angle that they're going. The issue, of course, being she's up against Kairi Sane or Tessa Blanchard in the next round, so I mean, I'm not saying anything, but we know she's going to fall. She did pretty well. Pretty decent. And Sage was pretty good. It's a shame we didn't see more of her. Then again, she might have been in the tag matches to fill the gaps and everything. So then we get Piper Niven versus Santana Garrett. Obviously, Santana's been around on the indies a lot. Piper got, a.k.a. Viper. She's been on WCPW, obviously, recently. She's been, ICW. She's been around a lot of the indies, if you will, in the UK. And I'm pleased to see that she won, because first when you see her and everything, you think, oh my god, she is a vicious, brutal woman, and that's probably the gimmick that they were going for here. Piper winning away with a Michinoku driver and everything to progress. But after seeing her, like, I think the BBC did like a report on her or something. And sort of her life as a wrestler. She really is somebody that's grafted and worked hard to get where she is. So it's like, I'm a Piper Niven fan, even if she is supposed to be a heel. And Santana's sort of sorted anyway. It's not like she really needs the win. Really. She'll be happy enough. And then we get to the final first round set of episodes. So we start off with Candice LeRae versus Renee Michelle. Candice won, which is the most important bit. So Candice was really good. And Renee Michelle was okay. Again, it's somebody where it's like she gets a bit more experience. She could be one that the women's division worldwide will probably be interested in picking her up for more. But when you got somebody that's been wrestling for as long as Candice has, it makes sense to put her through, because obviously making her go on and going up against more experienced people as well means the quality of the show is going to go up. Next, we had Lacey Evans. So apparently the get-up she's wearing is because she actually has a US Army background, so she's supposed to look like one of the old like sirens that they had on the plane, painted on the planes on the side in the 40s and 50s. So Tainara Conti, it's basically her sort of, well, at least television debut, former judoka, and the interesting thing about this is it was relative newbie versus relative newbie. So therefore, it actually probably complemented it more, and you know, Evans won the win with the belly to back pole driver. But both were good. Evans was solid in terms of, you know, her performance. And the fact that it's her first televised match for Tainara, and the fact that she's got relatively no experience at all. Again, it's somebody, because keep in mind, there was a lot of people that had doubts over Shayna Baszler getting into wrestling. And now, all of a sudden, it looks like it's going to be the big thing. Especially if the Ronda thing proves to be successful. We'll get to that. So next up, Nicole Savoy versus Reina Gonzalez. Gonzalez being a second-generation wrestler herself. Not her father didn't really do big stuff. Mostly worked sort of in the indie scene. But you know, Nicole Savoy, first Heart of Shimmer champion, and has actually been out and injured for quite a number of months. So she was in here, but yeah, good match. Nicole Savoy, obviously, with the fact that Shimmer gave her their secondary title, means that there is some performance, and actually winning with a submission as well is pretty, wouldn't say important, but bolsters the fact that she should go over. Gonzalez is under a developmental deal, and you know, the word developmental does make sense here. You know, there was some bits where it was like she wasn't great, but I do think that she, again, she's somebody that if she gets more experience on the NXT shows, or the NXT house shows, I should say, she could develop. And then one more match left. Kairi Sane versus Tessa Blanchard. The one match where it's like, okay, whoever wins this wins the tournament. Because they're both that good. Tessa Blanchard, of course. Daughter of Tully. Who hasn't been signed to the E. But, considering the rumors suggest that her boyfriend, Ricochet, might be coming sooner rather than later because of the Lucha deal coming up. Perhaps they're going to be, perhaps not brought in directly as a couple, but it makes sense. That's all I'm saying. And Kairi's obviously just got signed, Kairi Hojo. And thank God they let us actually do the elbow drop. Especially because that was the finish as well. Because it's like, this was really, really good. Best match of the first round by far. Just a bit when it got to the end, because there was all these reports about, oh God, Kairi's having to get a new finisher because she can't do the elbow drop because of Bayley. Then the D-push happened. And so it's like, okay, perhaps we can. And as soon as she did the whole ow, you dislocated my finger. Wow! When she did the elbow point, literally the crowd was just like, yes! We want it! We want it, please! And she connected, and man, Tessa better be signed up soon, because we know Kairi's already in. And I think she's one that should be progressing to NXT. I wouldn't say immediately, but hell, put her on the main roster, have her immediately. Well, because then you push her or Asuka, but I think that's the dream match. The match that never happened. Two really talented women's wrestlers from Japan going at it. WrestleMania 35, anyone? Please? I'm not even saying 34. I'm not going to be that soon. But 35. We'll see. So now, episode 5, we transition into the second week of the binge blocks. We get into the last 16s, the second round. Starting off with Rachel Evers versus Abby Lave. And a good opener. Abby getting the win, interestingly. Which makes sense because, again, I guess because she's part of the actual roster anyway. But winning as well with the alligator clutch pin as well. So no submission. Probably because it's too similar to the Anaconda Vice. Because that's what it basically is. But Rachel looked good. Abby looked great. I approve. So, Piper Niven versus Serena Deeb was next. And this was a very good match as well. We had a good pretty good match with Rachel and Abby, and this one was good as well. Again, you've still got the underdog story or the redemption story of Serena, but I mean, bloody Deeb took a lot from this. I mean, she got Vader bombed, Serena kicked out, so they went for one more time. Piper instead goes to the top and does a diving headbutt, and I'm like, oh, yes, yes, my girl, yes. Gives Serena a spear, gives her the Piper Viper driver. You notice there, I did the nod there. But yeah, it's like, oh my god, Piper Niven is everything Nia Jax and Tamina Snuka want to be. And the honest thing is, just to play up to Nia's gimmick, Piper ain't like most girls. So I approve. So next up, Princess Suhei versus Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes wins. Despite the fact that she's got clearly a sore shoulder by the looks of it. So I don't know what happened with the first round and whatever, whether there was something that sort of tweaked it. But she hit her Fisherman's Buster normal finish that she has on the indies on Suhei and got the win. Pretty good. Pretty good match. Certainly there's nothing as bad as Rachel Evers and Marty Bell. Which it wasn't even bad, it was just okay. But it's like, that's the only match really that's been sort of like, it's the only one that you shouldn't see. Which is, I'm sorry to say, but it's like, that was just the work style of it. Might be worth seeing just for the fact that I'm saying not see it. It's worth watching all 8 if you can. Or I guess all 9 when it's up on demand fully when it's finished on Tuesday. We'll see. And then Kairi Sane versus Bianca Belair. And I mean, this is the match that made me believe that Bianca Belair might be pretty damn impressive. Because, I mean, the gimmick is stupid of the fact of Bianca using her long hair to whip Kairi, which obviously, technically, shouldn't be allowed, but because it's her hair, it's, you know, legal, I guess. But, you know, and that gimmick, I think, is possibly the one thing where people will not take Bianca Belair seriously. It's very, I think, clever in terms of something that you can use as an added sort of, like, twist to use in terms of, like, storyline and everything. But, yeah, this got really good towards the end. Kairi gets power slammed, gives her a spinebuster plan, goes up on the top, hits a 450 splash. Okay, why did you only decide to pull that out now, Bianca? And Kairi kicks out and Bianca's like, what? Then gets a sliding elbow after missing an elbow herself. Spinning back fist, top rope elbow. Kairi wins, and yeah, I think Bianca Belair, just in this one match, showed herself to me that, yeah, she should belong here. But they need to build her right. That's all I'm saying. So now we got Toni Storm versus Lacey Evans. And pretty good. Toni getting the win with a neckbreaker slam. Lacey wasn't bad, but it's like, again, you could see Lacey's relatively experienced. Toni Storm's been on the indies for quite a few number of years. You know, making her way around the world, making a name for herself, so it sort of made sense to put her over. And the fact as well, that means in the next round it's her versus Piper Niven, especially because of the Stardom deal. Oh, that should be interesting. Yeah. So then, Mae Young versus Shayna Baszler. Really, really good as well. So yeah, the finish here was really nice. So Mia got a German suplex, but Shayna kicked out at 2. Then another one got countered into an ankle lock by Mia. Shayna then scissoring the leg. Oh, sorry, yeah. Shayna scissored the leg, but Mia managed to get out. Then she managed to catch one of Shayna's kick and turn it into a sit-out powerbomb, which was a really nice spot. Then goes for the 450 splash, but Shayna catches her and immediately puts on a rear naked choke after hitting it. And Shayna wins. It was like, man, Mae Young's proven herself. Shayna's proven herself. Another really good match. And then Shayna stared down the wrestling horsewomen as the MMA horsewomen were on the other side of the ring, you know, on the ringside fans watching on. So it's like, ooh-wee, I like it. That sounds fun. So then Rhea Ripley versus Dakota Kai, Australia versus New Zealand, and Zach all the way. And really good. Kai getting the win with a double stomp, but yeah, this is another one where it's like the highlights don't do it justice. You need to see the full match. Really good. Rhea here proving that she needs to be one that you need to keep an eye out for, because I don't think she's e-signed like Dakota is. I think Dakota signed, it may not be. But, yeah. Another one where it's like, I approve. I approve. And then we get Candice LeRae, Nicole Savoy. So, again, two experienced names from the Indies coming in here, and pretty good. Perhaps, considering that this was the second match in as many days for Nicole, this was sort of a bit too much for her, given that she's only just come back from an injury, because she wasn't as good as she was in the first round, and she wasn't as good as I've seen her on the Indies. But she still did a pretty good job, and Candice getting the win with the Mr. Toad's Wild Ride neckbreaker. At least that's what I'm calling it, as a wink. Because I don't think Candice can be introduced as from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. For some reason. So now we move on to the quarterfinals. Episode 7. So we start off with Abby Latham, Mercedes Martinez, and Abby does come from sort of an MMA sort of background and can be technical submission stuff, especially, of course, her time in Shikara, and if anything's to do with Shikara and Gulak and Quackenbush and submission stuff, you know, it's pretty key. Martinez gets the win with the Fisherman's Buster, but Abby's been put over, and again, she's already signed. Mercedes is over because she's the veteran and experienced. So then we get Candice versus Shayna. Shayna getting the win, but interestingly, once again, sort of the same sort of style finish that you saw actually in the last round. So Candice goes for the Wild Ride, but Shayna manages to move herself so she can lock in the rear naked choke again, and Candice immediately has to tap out. But interestingly, she holds it for a bit. The referee sort of, it takes a few seconds for Shayna to actually relinquish the hold, but obviously they're doing this to try and book her into a heel, which she's sort of been anyway, really, I would argue, so that ain't that much of a surprise. But Candice is going to be over wherever she goes, so again, I think a move that makes sense. So now we got Piper Niven versus Toni Storm. And Toni won with her top rope leg drop, and this was a very good match as well. Sort of, Toni had way more offense for Piper to deal with, so it wasn't just like a big brutish heel getting to do her stuff and everything. It was positioned right in terms of giving them both a chance to showcase. Piper, I think, should be in bigger places sooner rather than later. I think she's proven that. Toni, with her, it's awkward because WWE, I don't think, wants to be seen as raiding the talent of Stardom, especially considering the rumor that was going about that it was going to be her and Io Shirai going, but because of Io's injuries, they basically held it off. Because obviously, if they sign too many of these talents, even like the foreign ones like Toni, that are part of their, group that do the shows, it's going to be a bit awkward. Especially if you include into that, of course, Piper Niven. Santana Garrett's been doing stuff. Shayna Baszler's been doing stuff. But obviously Shayna isn't predominantly sort of working there, so you can maybe get away with it. Who knows? But yeah, good performance. And then Kairi Sane versus Dakota Kai. And once again, this was a really damn good match. Doopa 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 doo doo doo. Don't know why I did that. Just really good between the two of them. I think Evie might have done some Stardom stuff. She might have faced Kairi. But once again, the elbow connects and Kairi wins. But yeah, another one. It's like pretty much everything in these quarterfinals is must-see. There is nothing that's really crap at all. So yeah, that's where we leave episode 7. However, I'm going to bring it in here because they did show it, I think, in between the Toni Storm winning match and the Kairi winning match. It's in between. They showed the .com exclusive video with Ronda and Jessamine and Marina, I guess, being interviewed backstage, talking about, you know, Shayna and everything. And then Charlotte, Becky and Bayley come in. And Ronda basically goes, you want a match? Anytime, any place, you can have it. And Charlotte, Becky and Bayley just back off. And seemingly intimidated. And that is where I think we have now officially planted the seed for something to happen. Possibly even somewhere later this year. Survivor Series would be an interesting thing if the main event was the women. It might actually rescue that event from being considered by Vince on the most occasion for it to be the sort of 4th pay-per-view he wishes he never had anymore. Because the last few years, Survivor Series really hasn't been significant, bar last year for that squash match with Lesnar and Goldberg that sort of saved it itself. But if you said, oh yeah, we're having the 4 horsewomen versus the 4 horsewomen, deal with it. I think that means we know that Sasha Banks isn't winning at No Mercy. Just a slight feeling. Am I doing that because it's British Strong Styles thing? Maybe. So then we get to the semi-finals. And, man, there's a lot of connection between Shayna Baszler and Mercedes Martinez with their background and sort of in sort of the same stable, I guess you could call it. The tough woman stable that has been in certain places on the indies. And given that Shayna's earned her grift and Mercedes is a veteran, these two really had a good showing. Mercedes getting to show a lot more of her sort of technical sort of MMA background than in previous matches, because obviously she's up against somebody from the MMA background. But yeah, really good. The rear naked choke got knocked on again. After basically she stopped the Fisherman's Buster Suplex and managed to get on the choke then. Then interestingly, Mercedes, rather than being an instant tap, Mercedes was like fighting it and fighting it and fighting it and then just had to tap because it was too much. So I think we already know that as it stands, it's going to be a submission versus a finisher from a top rope. But the question is, which top rope finisher? Unsurprisingly, Kairi Sane versus Toni Storm is pretty damn good as well. And keep in mind as well, all four of these women, Mercedes, Shayna, Kairi, and Toni, have had to wrestle 3 times in one night. The only people that I think do that normally is like Bowler Night 3. And possibly, no, because even CZW's Best of the Best, you only do like 2 matches in one night. And Progress's Super Strong Style 16 is at least 2 matches for the night, and King of Trios is 2 matches. So yeah, these girls got put through the ringer. Kairi gets the win with the elbow drop. The finish did feel a bit rushed, like it felt like it could flow a little bit more, and then she just went to the top and did the elbow, but really good, as you'd expect. Both got handed flowers and everything from Stephanie and Triple H and Sarah Amato. Sarah Del Rey! That's her name to me, damn it. I love the fact as well, as if Stephanie's taking the entire credit for this stuff. Yet, the fact is, in all honesty, Sarah's the one that's training them in the performance center. Sarah's the one that's going, she'll be good to bring in. She'll be good. Yeah. I'm not trying to steal like the whole Terry Funk line and something. Oh, this one's got promise, but that's what Sarah's done ever since she was brought in. I'm annoyed she wasn't brought in to be a wrestler, but hell, you know, I wouldn't say the actual tournament concept is her brainchild, but probably the people that they got in and the quality of the people that they've got through developmental that have been in this tournament have been really good. So yeah, sod Stephanie. Give the full praise to Sarah Amato. Sarah Del Rey is the true queen of WWE. So much so that she's now doing the stuff on the main roster as well. So it's like, is there anything she can't do? So I look forward to Tuesday to see what was happening. Interestingly, and I don't know whether these have aired for free on the YouTube page. I'll have a quick look. But the tag matches that they did as filler for the semi-finals and everything. Let's have a quick look. WWE, need their channel. Problem is when I bring that up, because I'm not subscribed to them, it's going to play the video. So if I click that, pause that, just think, no, what? There we go. I'm just trying to have a quick look whether they've aired the other tag, because there's other tag matches that have happened. That's the thing, but I don't see them on here. Interestingly, which is strange. So yeah, the 2 matches. Let me go back in the notes that I've got. We still haven't had. Oh no, because they did do like. I'm trying to remember from the tapings. They did some tag matches that I clearly haven't aired. Part of me wonders whether they're going to put up on the WWE YouTube channel as like bonus matches, because obviously we've only got one final match and we need to show off the other women and stuff. So, I mean, I'm trying to think. It honestly depends who's in. The majority of the women will be, not all though. They've stressed not all of them. So I don't think Kavita. They might bring Kavita Devi on because India. But you know, I'd like to see an appearance from Nixon Newell if she's. I mean, if she can wrestle, that'd be really interesting. But I think Dakota Kai's over here and sort of working out of the performance center and everything. I think Mercedes would be a no-brainer to bring along. Piper, I think, should be over because I believe the shows that her and Tony are doing in Japan sort of they can fly over for this and then fly back out for the rest of the Stardom 5-star tournament, I think it's called. Candice can obviously show up because she's obviously West Coast based anyway. Some of the other roster as well. I'd like to see Tessa there because I think she's like somebody with a response that she had as well. I think Jazzy makes no sense to not be there, so I think she'll be there. So yeah, there's plenty of people you can do. Perhaps an 8-woman tag, perhaps 2-woman tags matches. You know, so you know that means 8 people will be in action, and then the rest can, I guess, be watching from sort of ringside and everything. So I believe the show's only going 2 hours. Quick to my WWE Network schedule, which is better than the actual schedule that they actually do, which is always nice. So, there we go. So after Raw, they've got Charlie recapping the Mae Young Classic, including an exclusive 6-woman tag match. So there it is. So they're sticking it on a separate show. So it is going to be 10 episodes in total then. So I guess I'll have to cover that while we're doing the Raw thing. If we are doing one this week, I'm not sure. We'll have to see. And then Tuesday, the Mae Young Classic will be live from Vegas for an hour, directly after SmackDown finishes. And then, oh wait, it's only half an hour? Really? They're going to neglect it like that? Okay. That's a surprise. And then 205 Live's on afterwards, so I don't know whether that means 205 Live will actually be live then. Because I had my doubts whether it would be, because I thought Mae Young Classic was going to be an hour. Because it was going to be a chance for other women to showcase their stuff, rather than just one match as it appears to be. So, well, we'll have to see. But, yeah, I'm really looking forward to what comes from this. But yeah, it seems to be, from what I can tell, what's advertised, seemingly as that. And the table, I'm just noticing as well, the table for free from June with San Martino and Flair and Orton, which I think they've had on before. That'll be on, yeah, because I think it was supposed to be the Horseman one that got cancelled because of Rick's condition and everything. So I was getting confused. The wrong one. There goes my evidence. Dirty girl. So there you go. So yeah, the final, I suggest you watch. The quarterfinals, semi-finals, you should. To be honest, watch all of it, as long as you've got the 8 hours or whatever it is spare to watch it. Overall, pretty, it's delivered. It's something that I'd like to see on an annual basis. And just as an annual basis, because I think we've learned that the experiment with the Cruiserweight division may have been a bit of a fail. So there we go. That's the Mae Young Classic done. That's all the wrestling done for this week. Problem is, it's now nearly the end of the week, so I've now got to get back into gear for this week. So, the news will probably be, again, a separate video. But we'll have the indie stuff with the results from Progress Wrestling and CZW and Japan, amongst others. Also the UFC. I'm going to put it in there because I'm already sort of behind on that because I forgot to do it this week. For a at least the main event, at least on the pay-per-view that just happened, that was pretty good. The TV stuff will be covering at least SmackDown 205 Live, the Mae Young Classic final, and possibly the one that's after Raw, depending what the schedule is for going on with Owen. You know, being Florida and everything, and it's suffering the batterings at the minute of Hurricane Irma, or the after effects, whichever. I don't think Orlando should be dramatically affected from where I've seen the forecast map, but there'll still be some sea surges and everything, and some strongish winds, so we'll see. So at least that, at least SmackDown and 205 Live and New Japan, as I say, as well, will be covered. So at least 3 videos from me next week. Plus, I'm going to be doing a gaming one. I'll probably be shooting that over once this one is finished uploading and Owen can prepare to put it up for whenever he's going to put this up. And yeah, there should be a gaming thing next week as well, hopefully. You've obviously got the AJ content from this past weekend. Let me just make sure. There it is. I want to make sure I get the channel. Oh, I have to actually search for that one. Right. The other thing didn't work. Right, just to catch you up. I guess we've got the Academy nominations picks from us for it happened back on Tuesday. And then you've also got the reviews so far. You reviewed All Eyes on Me and Rough Night, amongst others, on the first video, as well as the big one being It. And also, it says Slight got added on there, which is interesting because I don't see it. Oh, Slight spoilers. Damn it! I thought Slight, the movie, because that's just come out over here, but he reviewed that earlier the year, so, like, okay. So, yeah, there's some slight spoilers in it, but from what it seemed, it's pretty good. You get the full analysis and everything from AJ up on the channel. Obviously, this past Friday as well, you had the Popcast for the Halloween Horror Night, if I can say it properly, 27, the full reveal, and the guys running through that for a good number of hours and everything. So, all that should be good. That's all from me, I guess, for this week. Another hour-long video, at least. I guess this is the consistency. This is why normally this stuff would take 3 hours, because you had 3 hours literally with the news, the indies, and the TV stuff. This Mae Young stuff was added. Thank God I did this as a separate video, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to send the file over. I know that's my limit. Yeah, go about an hour. Go any further, you might not get it up. So, until tomorrow, boys and girls, because it probably will be, because I'll be up here. That's all I've got to say about that. Did I actually do it right this time?